T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Welcome to WWT Live, the Friday edition. And I feel like, you know, even though he's like the #1 artist in the world, Bad Bunny, he's like also like becoming the #1 wrestler in the world, maybe? We'll discuss. I'm not alone. He brought the fro in today. Cedric, what's going on?
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss, and I think Bad Bunny's at the top of all of that. Very interesting stuff we're finding out about him since Backlash.
Yes, very true. And he is back. This is pretty good. I'm happy. He didn't get scared of us. You know, he's nice and calm. Booney Mayfield, what's up? You're in the building.
What's going on? How y'all doing? I'm excited to discuss this stuff today.
I know so much to discuss, but it also feels like, just let me know. It also feels like it's not too much. Like some days it's just like you don't know what to talk about. And today, and I might have missed some stories, so you know, let me know. But today today seems like a calm day. You can coast into your Friday, coast into your weekend. You know, yeah. You're not like checking Twitter to see what wrestler or what WW, like it seems calm, which is also kind of scary now that I say it to myself.
Well, I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. That changes.
We'll see. So who's gonna take the first story?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. So Bad Bunny, yeah, he was saying that he got hurt at, you know, WWE Backlash and thought he was gonna die after the match. Especially going through that table, everything. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
I mean, the match, that's why I always wondered as far as like wrestlers when they do stuff like that. And this is why, and I'm sure we're all in the same boat. We have incredible respect for wrestlers. And you can't say stuff like that is fake because you have to, you know, not injure yourself and also the people in the ring, which takes an incredible, like more skill than any other sport. So, you know, but I also wonder if it was just more, he was gassed too. Like how much, like we know that he trains for these events, but given the fact like touring and then, you know, his alleged relationship with, is it Kylie? No, one of the Jenners. Kendall, his alleged relationship with her. So we don't know what, like all the other things, did he really get, like, was he full into it as far as training and could have just been like more tired where he thought he was going to die? Like, have you ever had those workouts where it's like,
possibly. I mean, and at the end of the day, he said he loves it. You know, he was like, I felt like I was going to die, but I love it. You know, it's like, you know, I'm still going to go and record, make some music and then still down to do this. You know, he's like, I know I'm crazy, but hey, I love doing this. So and they've always said, like, in that business, like, you got to be crazy to do this, and really love it to do it. And just going off of what you said about just you know, where people have always thrown that word fake at this, and it's like, these are stunts, these are live stunts, you know, happening in front of a live audience. It's no different from, so I don't understand how you don't criticize all the movies that are camera angles set and you know what I'm saying, they got a whole pad and mat to fall on and stuff like that when they jumping off, you know, things. And it's just like, this is like, for real, when they jumping off of a ladder onto a table, they jumping off of a ladder onto a table. Like, there's nothing fake about that.
Yeah,
and you don't have to, yeah.
That's, I don't even know how they do that.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not proud at all of knowing that piece of information about him dating Kendall Jenner, so don't judge me. But yet and still, yeah, this is another example of Bad Bunny doing this for the love of the game. If you compare it to any era of wrestling, this is Michael Jackson or Prince or somebody of that magnitude coming off the couch and saying, like, hey, I want to do stunts. And they come in and do their own stunts. Now, I know there's a lot of training regimen that goes into this. There's months of planning, but you got to think about, like, doing it live in front of an audience. It's not pre-taped. It's not, you can't go back and try to fix a mistake or anything like that. So the timing aspect of everything, having to get the spots in certain times and stuff like that, there's nothing like it. And this like literally the biggest star in the world coming to do that. So naturally, I'm happy that he just loves doing it. Probably a little beat up. I don't deny that at all. But he's saying that despite all the injury, if there's a serious injury or any pain behind it, it sounds like he still wants to keep moving forward with being a part of this. And that's huge. Because I know I think there's a story or something came out with Becky Lynch earlier in the week about her opinion on celebrities or something of that nature, and how they don't put in the time and the effort and just come to do an album rollout or come to do any type of publicity, which helps the company as well. This doesn't seem like it's like that. This seems like somebody who genuinely wants to be a part of the storyline, genuinely wants to make moments for not only his music fans, but for wrestling fans, which is pretty cool because we don't often get that.
He really respects it.
There's definitely understanding. Bosa saying when Bad Bunny stops by the WWE ring and performs in the ring, you know, you get your money's worth. Other celebrities wouldn't break a nail. I mean, it definitely is like the passion. It's no different than like, you know, like hosting. You know, you have people, you have celebrities, or you have comedians, or you have models who step into like the hosting realm. And yeah, you're talking, but there's so many other things going on in the background of your head as a host, especially if it's live, especially if it's a red carpet, especially with all the things that, you know, some people get it and then some people flop because they think it's easy versus actually preparing for it. And you see that, you know, all the time. So yeah, I think it's no different, but definitely agree with you, Cedric. Like, some people come and they, you know, they're just promoting something, and we still love it, depending on who the celebrity is. I mean, a la like Snoop, we're not going to see him do anything too crazy. But when he comes, you can definitely see that he embraces it. And the fact that even on that call doing that, like, you know, something happened and he was actually able to do something after that and know enough about the business to make it work versus what's going on, like versus looking like a deer in headlights, that speaks to it too. So, you know.
There's a darkness inside of me that wants whoever's in the chat right now to put names on it. Tell us who be dogging it when they come once a year, 2-3 years. Just put it in the chat. So just put a name on it.
Oh goodness. Oh yeah. Well, shout to JD. Wrestling is more real than most people's Instagram filters. You know what? I think you're 2 for 2, JD. Like, you on Monday, you had a good one. Like, I don't even think, like, there's no what. Look, this for you. That was pretty impressive. Then we also have Nikki in the chat as well. So she's saying Snoop popping up. Well, hopefully.
I hope so.
Would be awesome. So both Cedric and I are going to Resurgence this Sunday. Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean,
it's only right. I mean, you're in Long Beach. You kind of have to.
Right, and it's in Long Beach. even though he doesn't live in Long Beach anymore. But
Grandma house still got to be out there somewhere.
where the what?
You said Snoop doesn't live in Long Beach no more? Probably not, but like Granny house still got to be there somewhere.
Yeah, he lives in Diamond Bar, which is like the opposite direction. But yeah, and then we also have a post show. The Salt Shakers will be in the post show. I think we have a few more people on the post show as well, so definitely check that out. Excuse me. What do we have next?
Let's see. Looks like Sportskeeda Wrestling asked ChatGPT about the top 10 female wrestlers of all time. And so I'm sure that there we go. We got the list right there. So
what is ChatGPT for somebody who's an old head at this point in my life? Is that like AI?
You don't know what ChatGPT is?
No, but this is what I was trying to explain to y'all earlier this week, and I said like, oh, it was a site that did the top wrestlers of all time, whatever. But it was like this. But like, I don't know what ChatGPT is.
Yeah, it's kind of like AI. So for instance, and this is probably something, since you do a lot of writing, this is something that you probably want to watch out for, because ChatGPT is like, they can write articles. They can write like I'm actually this weekend gonna be using an app to try to do all of my like email blasts for my other company. This is one of the reasons why there's a writer's strike going on right now, because they are trying to, what the bigger companies are doing is making the writer room smaller and then using ChatGPT or AI to help write the scripts. So instead of having a writer's room of 10, they might go down to 5 and have AI write the scripts, and then the other writers just fill in the blanks. So with ChatGPT, you can ask them questions and they'll spit out different things. And it's just essentially almost, if you think of like, AI taking over the world, they can learn things about, whatever. So if they want to learn, for instance, if we did an experiment and we had ChatGPT come on to WWT Live 3 days a week, and they learn how we pull articles and all the stuff, we can wake up one day and it'll already be ready in like a matter of probably 2 or 3 weeks. It learns at a way faster pace than anything else in society. So it's kind of a great thing, but a scary thing.
Everything at the same time.
Wow. Okay, that's what times we're in right now. That's
yeah.
Thanks for educating me on that, because I did not know that.
Yes. So
no, when you read my articles, there is no ChatGPT, by the way.
Well, because you didn't know what it was until today. But so let's back to this list. We did a little dovetail for the education lesson. I think I saw Nikki here saying, "Oh, it's actually both."
They're throwing shots in the chat.
Yeah, Trish number one. I mean, I'm a fan of Trish, but when I did see this, I was like, okay. But I wonder what they went on, because if they're going on popularity, right? Like these are some of the biggest names popularity wise. If you don't know wrestling, I think that you would pull out, like, just not knowing. It's like, well, who are the top, like, Trish's was talked about. Now she's still being talked about. You have China, like you have these names that they've been around for a long time. I
think I don't know. It might. I'm not. That's why these type of top 10 lists is always just kind of like top 10 of what, like influence, or top 10 as far as technical skill, or top 10. You know what I mean? There's always. It's kind of like, all right, what is the basis, on this? And then of course, then at the end of the day, it's always debatable because it's always subjective.
Right.
It really is. Some people will see number one and 110% agree, while there's some who would be like, yo, no, she should be number 10 or not even on the list. Everyone's gonna have their different kind of opinions and stuff. So that's why it's just like, whenever there's always these top 10 lists of rappers, all those different kind of things, and it's just like, it's always debatable, always. But you usually have your core of who you normally see in at least most people's top lists, like at least a few core, and then the others, that's where it really gets a little more debatable. So
right. And I think Nikki's right, like she's saying, so it's based on the database. So I think they look at the cage match database and it's the biggest one. So, you know, the amount of times somebody's name pops up, like I think it has nothing to do with skill. It's just more of an analytics thing.
Yeah, whose name is popping up the most.
Analytics is ruining a lot of stuff right now.
Maybe, you know, out of everyone, and it's just like, yeah.
For you guys, just doing a quick glance at that list, not saying it's not trying to discredit the list at all, since you know it's AI. Who is an omission in you guys' eyes?
Ooh.
With all things considered.
See, that's kind of like what the chat was saying. It really just depends on what type of list we're doing. Meaning that like top 10 list of, you know, female wrestlers who've impacted women's wrestling, top 10 list of women who have skill. Like there's so many different
exactly
variations.
Like, if we're talking influence, I did off of influence. I mean, I could see why any of them are on that list at this point.
Right.
You know, so
yeah. I like that.
Off of influence, if I look at like who's been influential in their era and some whether in behind the scenes and in the forefront, you know.
Well, I mean,
I guess would valets and managers be excluded from this type of thing if we're talking about influence?
Right. It depends. Like it depends on what you're counting. Like, you know, this was very pretty much this is all WWE, right? So like, you know, Mickey made a good point. Like Gail Kim, she's, you know, been, but then I feel like Gail Kim is influenced beyond skill, like what she did for women's wrestling and how she has talked about women's wrestling, and you know her you know, we know she was at WWE, but her impact at Impact literally is, you know, like she's been talking about women's empowerment and evolution way before it was like a catchphrase. So you know, there's it all kind of just depends.
Yeah.
You know?
I really don't think there's like a right or wrong to it at the end of the day. It's just like I have, you know, how people have their top 5 rappers, MCs lists. It's like I have my top 5 like female MCs list. And I know out of my top 5, it is not the same as, you know, others. You know what I'm saying? But if I see some others, what their top 5 is, in most cases, I'm going to look and be like, yo, I see the impact and influence they have. They're not, you know, who I was a fan of, but I understand why that person's on your list. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can see that. So that's why I'm just saying from seeing the list there, do I agree with it? No, not quite, you know, but if, you know, I saw it, I'd be like, okay, I can see why, you know, somebody would say that, but I see why others would disagree with it. So,
but it's no different when was it the top 100? Is it top 100 Black wrestlers? What Righteous Reg has every year around like September, October, and every time he drops it, everybody loses their shit because you still don't know. And I saw him at WrestleMania, well, not at WrestleMania, but one of these events that we had, and he knows what he's doing because he just drops the list. Doesn't give the criteria or whatever. It's just like, you know, I'm just gonna list 100 people. Here you go. I'm Righteous Reg. Enjoy. Chat amongst yourselves. So it's just kind of like it really just depends. Like now I'm hip to his game, so I look at it as like, okay, like I'm not
engaged. Like I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's not even up for debate anymore. Like you do it, people expect it, people lose their shit. All right.
It's literally debate. It's debate, like the fish bait for them debate. Like just it's literally there. Just get that.
So looking at the list again and seeing that it's all WWE.
Engagement is just crazy.
Yeah, a lot of WWE. Angelina Love. Like there's so many people. Because even myself, I'm trying to put together. I don't even know if I should announce this because somebody might steal my idea, but I've been talking about this for a long time as far as a documentary about women's evolution. And to try to put this together and include like what women to include across all brands has been really difficult because you can't include everybody. Yeah. So it's like the storytelling of it and all the things. So it's just, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's a list. So and it's done by AI. So it's kind of like, do we really have to take it too
personal?
Seriously?
Yeah.
No, not personal, but at face value, I just want to know what was cooked in it. Because if it's popularity, which off face value it looks like doesn't like it's talking about title reigns or anything like that. Like it's popularity. How are the Bellas now in this list? You talk about influence. How is Steph now on this list when you talk about influence? If it's title reign, how is Bailey not on this list when she's captured every title? Like
And like, you know, I mean, we do have Mercedes, but like when you look at this list, there's not too much color. And the thing with AI, the thing with AI, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, you have those things where it's like facial recognition. They weren't able to recognize certain skin tones, and even at the iPhone wasn't able to do that at some point as well. So I'm wondering if ChatGPT, when they're programming this, if that's also a thing. Where it's just kind of like, you know, they don't see color, literally. So, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully they don't take over the world and all our brains in my lifetime. 'Cause I want no parts of it. What do we have next?
So let's go back to the biggest star in the world really quickly. Looks like Bad Bunny and the LWO train since Backlash is still moving strong when we talk about the merchandise department. No surprises there when they're in Puerto Rico that they were going to move a lot of merch. A lot of that merch probably sold out. But it's been, 2 weeks since the event? And still, those numbers are still coming in pretty strong. And they're one of the top sellers in the past week, it's being reported. So that actually makes me think. On the heels of the injury, the LWO thing is gaining a lot of steam. We got Money in the Bank coming up right after Clash of Champions. Is it possible that they use this to kind of build their next star? Because Money in the Bank is it's a lottery ticket, essentially. You can build a star overnight. Is it possible they'll piggyback off that? Any LWO member, including Bad Bunny.
I mean, you guys don't know, but for people who have been following me, I love a good faction. I love good old teamwork. I love things that make sense. So yeah, that, and especially how well they did in Puerto Rico. I don't think this is the last time we're going to see them in Puerto Rico, or also any Hispanic countries. So yeah, I think it's definitely possible. But again, WWE is always thank you, Dylan. I appreciate it. You are correct in that. But I think it just really depends. It depends on creative. Like sometimes they get it right and it makes sense, and then sometimes they don't. And you know, we've seen that on so many occasions.
So many.
Anything else?
So I see a lot of people in the chat saying that Zelina is the most deserving for Money in the Bank, and I can see that. I think she carried the Queen of the Ring crown very well, and they can definitely build off some of her popularity right now in her first run, kind of as a babyface talent. On the men's side, I mean, I think Ray's in his last run. I don't see that. They could use it to likely to be included in the match.
I didn't hear the last part because you froze a little bit.
Yeah, freeze. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
I was saying I think Santos Escobar is probably likely to be included in the men's side of the bracket. So I don't know. I think it'd be a good thing. I don't think they'll go extreme and put Bad Bunny in the match though, but they can only build off of this. We know merch moves a lot of the segments on television. So we should probably see a lot more LWO content moving forward this next month.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna, because I think it's also for Bad Bunny. I think it also is probably an insurance issue, because say hypothetically he did get severely injured where he's no longer mobile, like that's, you can't do concerts. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
So I think taking doing maybe one spot a year, and taking the time to train and all the things, I think that's what he'll be, almost kind of like a Legends contract of some sort, where it's like, you see he's a fan favorite, people love him, people appreciate his work, all the things, but it's also like his team is like, this is cute, we like this. Because guaranteed the money he's making to do like one wrestling show, or even if he were to go on the road, is not near what he's making as an artist. So they're like, this is cute, we know you love it, but like, this is how much you could do it, because we can't risk all this money over here that you're making, because you also have a whole team to support, etc. So I feel like we're gonna see him, but they can play off the faction for LWO. It just depends. It really just depends on the writers. But we have Stephanie in the chat saying Santos would make an excellent Mr. Money in the Bank. Dylan saying LA Knight. Bosa saying I could see it being LWO year for Money in the Bank, especially with the faction being over.
I want LA Knight.
LA Knight would be, but I mean, so how do you guys feel about LA Knight? Like, I feel like
he's that dude. He's my dude. He's the dude that I just have a good feeling about. Like the same way I started having a good feeling about when I started having a good feeling about New Day, when I started having a good feeling about, trying to think, even The Rock. I feel like LA Knight, I have a very good feeling. I can't say I'm going to be right, but I have a very, very good feeling about dude.
I don't know. I feel like LA Knight is a hard worker, and I feel like he is there's one time, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, where Miz was talking about it. He took like no days off. He was like that guy when things needed to get done, when wrestlers got injured, he was there. And I feel like LA Knight is gonna be that guy where like he won't get the Roman Reigns or like the big, like the huge pop. Like he's gonna be a great worker, will get close to it, but I don't know if they're ever gonna like fully like strap it on him and say this is all you. Like I feel like that's not gonna happen.
So do you think, like, I could see that from the the Suits perspective, but if the people are more behind it and keep on showing behind it, that you don't see that being a possibility?
I think we all live in a bubble with that, though. Are the people that I know I see it on social media, but in actual shows, do you see that type of support as well? I mean, I get it. I've been wrong in the past. I didn't think Otis would win Money in the Bank, but with this, I don't. The skipping of steps without like a main mid card program or anything like that, without any major rivalries that he's done. Like I can easier see him challenge for the United States Championship and do a program with Theory than actually winning the Money in the Bank. Like I think a lot of fans will get their hopes up and then he won't even be in the match.
That's a possibility. I'm just sitting here saying from a spot that I would love to see. That's just ideally. I feel like LA Knight, that big pop for him, I don't see that happening this year. I think it's probably going to grow within the next like couple years, but at some point, I think it's going to hit.
Okay. Well, I mean, a lot of people in the chat agree with you, and of course, he was at Impact and he did really well at Impact. So again, I'm not saying it because I don't think he can. I'm just saying that essentially what you said, Booney, is more of the Suits, and the writers, and I don't necessarily know if they're going to write him to be that. So
I mean, the booking is going to be amazing.
What do we got next? Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. I've learned I can't hang my hat up on WWE storylines. Like they're not gonna cause me to lose sleep at night. We're not doing that in 2023.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
So Dustin Rhodes celebrating 15 years of sobriety. Today is the day he tweeted. Today is the day that I'm most proud of. Today is 15 years clean and sober from drugs and alcohol. So salute to Dustin Rhodes.
Definitely. I think he comes like, do you think, because that era that Dustin was in, because X-Pac talked about that a lot too, and the stories he talked about, do you think that we have moved away from, I mean, and there's always like outliers here and there, but do you think we've moved away from almost like self-medicating and all the things to having wrestlers who are really into, focusing on their body and all this stuff and not self-medicating? Or do you think they've just, wrestlers and athletes in general have just gotten really good at hiding the self-medication?
That's tough. I can't say that it's completely eradicated, but I think there's other things that people do kind of to cope with the schedule or the rigors of being on the road all the time. Like, I think there's a lot of people who have their vices, but I think there's a little bit more light shed on the industry now that is in a positive light, and more people that are willing to help than there was back then. So right. I think in that regard, I don't think it's as big as it used to be 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, because I feel like every story you hear from that era, like everybody was doing some version of something. Like it was insane. And it's kind of interesting because I think if you look at the and this like now is going a little bit morbid, so I apologize. But if you look at the age that wrestlers were dying then, like there should be almost like, I'm willing to bet they were a lot younger. Like actually, because I think there was like, was it last week or the week before, they were saying for the men's wrestlers and on WWE, the average age is like 38 or 40 or something like that. Like, I feel like that definitely wasn't a thing 15, 20 years ago. Like, I feel like they're either it was like it was alcohol or drugs, or their body couldn't handle it, or all the things. But the age that they're wrestling now, like, it just feels like it's extended a lot more.
Yeah, I think a lot of the top half of the roster is late 30s, early 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
majority of them. Yeah. So
do you think any of the changes from the era before that it could be a part of it too? Because like they don't do chair shots to the head no more. That was something they used to do all the time. Now they only do just the back. The gut thing and the back and stuff like that. So just maybe I don't know. Do you think maybe some of the things they might have, changed has made any difference?
I think so. It's kind of like almost like how the NFL has now, slowly, the NFL is slowly kind of, because when was that? Where are we? 2023. So was that 2015 where you can no longer go, like, you can't go head first into somebody's like chest and stuff like that. I feel like they've changed rules, and the same thing with wrestling, and in particular WWE and clearances and all the things. They've changed rules. So I think one, it's to not get sued, because if you allow the wrestler to do this and they get cleared and then something does happen, then that comes back on the company. So I think it's definitely one thing to protect themselves. But then I think genuinely you don't want to hear, like, I was like watching, I think it was like either Dark Side or one of these wrestling biographies where it's like, you hear this, they do the whole sad thing of, we're so, like, it's sad that this wrestler has passed away. And when you look at wrestling today, we don't get too many of those. And then when we do, it's usually wrestlers who have been retired for a long period of time and etc. So I think it's just a different, I think it's just I think they intentionally, and then also the era that we're in as far as healthy eating and technology and all the things.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of both. Just, you know, trying to make sure the wrestler stays healthy, make sure they don't get sued. And, you know, the longer the wrestler is there, the more merch they can sell. So there's all those things too.
Turning to a PG era may have been a blessing in disguise for a lot of people's careers.
Yeah.
The average age of 40 wrestling, like how, and they're only, I mean, you know, everybody knows this, they're only getting older. So like if the average age is 40 now, how many more years are they going till?
Yeah.
Right. And if they all, barring, you know, with one or two or whatever, the average age will still be like 40, but then, you know, do we got somebody you know, doing the interesting. Oh, can you see me now?
Yeah, you good. It froze for a second.
Yeah, so it's really gonna be interesting. So we'll see what happens. Do we have any? What else do we have?
See, AEW Fight Forever reported release date, so an announcement is expected soon for basically the AEW video game. I'm excited about that. I mean, I love wrestling video games. So I'm very interested to seeing what kind of gameplay this one is going to be, different from like all the WW2K like series. Do you play any of those? Do y'all play any of them?
I wish I had time, but I don't.
I buy them, but then I never have time to play them. So
I play it for like a week.
I will admit that the storyline mode that they're doing now, where you can actually go back and do the careers of like certain wrestlers and matches, I think that's really cool. I haven't finished one in its entirety yet, but this game kind of feels more kind of a throwback to kind of the Nintendo 64 days and stuff like that. It seems
I
like
was actually hoping it was going to be that style, so it is going to be that. I'm getting it immediately.
He's like,
it doesn't feel like it's. I think it's meant to play like an actual arcade feel game.
Yeah, that's what I just miss. I really like the WW2K like series, you know, but it is very, very technical. So many like just moves and different things to do, and it's fun, it's cool, but I just miss that old style where it's just like it's kind of limited. You know, your wrestler has this set moves. And it's not too complicated, and it's just a lot more fun to play with people, and you don't have to like know the game that well to play it and have fun and actually whoop some ass. Like so that's what I miss. So that's cool if that game's gonna be like that. Sorry, I'm nerding.
Games have gotten way more challenging to play, and some part of me likes that. I like the realism. But true button mashing games are also fun as well.
Yeah,
so
you gotta
see how this one is.
Yeah, I like the balance. I want the balance, and that's how it was. Like, I mean, like the Warzone and Attitude like games back then, they were considered a little more of the technical style compared to the N64 ones, like WCW versus NWO Revenge and all those. And so it just seems like we haven't seen that balance of just like the fun button mashing, you know, wrestling game. And so when I saw that AEW is gonna be dropping one, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, yo, I hope they go in that direction, because we already got this one right here. So
only thing is, like, they're gonna have to be very strategic about when it actually drops, because I feel like they made this announcement about there being a video game in 2021. Here we are in 2023. It's been delayed and pushed back so many different times that I don't think the anticipation is any longer there. Because once they announced it once and started, graphics would leak, gameplay would leak, and it would get criticized online. It seems like they kept trying to go back to appease criticism instead of just, hey, let's release a game, let's get one out there, then let's have a sequel.
And then learn from it, and then go with the next one. Because usually it's like, even just because that's the thing, it's just people trying to avoid those bad reviews or whatever. And it's like, dude, like,
Just drop
Even
it.
just because it has a bad review at first, like it probably will become like a cult classic, like a cult following will get into it or whatever, and then it grow, and then people go back to that game and they're all over that damn game's nuts.
It's really hard to make a perfect game too, man. You like people will like it. If you have a core that likes it, I think they're trying too hard to perfect it.
Yeah.
Instead of just like releasing it and then fixing the bugs. Like you can actually fix the bugs while the game is still out if people got like a digital copy or whatever. So like I don't know.
Man, I feel like that's my life right there. That's my job. Like as working at a college, talking to other musicians, I'm always like, just drop it. Okay. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're not in the era of CDs and DVDs that you got to press anymore. It's like upload it. And if you don't like it, you come up with a better mix like a year later and then just exchange it, like switch it out. Like, but you know, people, I don't know, man, you miss out on opportunities when you focus too much on getting something perfect,
right?
You know, and then drop it. That's why, like I heard Soulja Boy's track, first song before it blew up on SoundClick. That's where he first had it. This before SoundCloud, it was on SoundClick. And the quality of the recording of the Crank That Soulja Boy, it sounded like it was recorded like just in a bedroom somewhere, not like mixed well or anything like that. But did he like feel like, oh, I gotta get it perfectly polished? And no, he just dropped it. And them kids were dancing. They weren't sitting there questioning, oh, was it mixed by this professional? They don't care. Can they dance to it? Do they like the song? So he just dropped it, and then he blew up, and then the song got remastered and had a professional music video. Like, boom. So it's just like you can drop something and then make some adjustments, especially in this era, and you know, it'd be dope. But I don't know. So hopefully they don't keep on delaying this just because they're afraid of some people not getting it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because the Tony Khan approach to storylines and AEW is like, just do it. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go on the TV and explain something, or I'm going to drop some other breaking news that's not breaking news, and you know, keep moving. So it's kind of interesting that for the game, it's more like, well, it's a wait and see type thing. And also speaking of AEW, so Nikki in the chat said we're about to find out Jade Cargill's opponent for AEW Rampage. Dylan saying another opponent for Jade with zero storyline.
Another person with no entrance. Another person with no entrance, just waiting to get squashed.
How do we feel about her run? Because I see both sides of the criticism where it's like I don't think she's like oversaturated or anything like that with the wins, but like at this point, why are we complaining? At the end of the day, it's still reps, you know? Right. We wanted the girl to be this dominant superstar, to be on Wednesday nights to get to the women's title that haters holding or something of that nature. But like she's green in the ring, whatever you want to say, but it's still reps. You're still getting TV time, you're still getting reps, you still carry the title everywhere, so you're building the brand. So like I don't know if I get the criticism when it's like you're elevating this person to be this star. Like think of how Goldberg was. Like he wasn't a great wrestler, but he brought eyes to the brand. Same thing with Jade. She's bringing eyes to the brand. She looks like a megastar on red carpets and other appearances and things like that, even if the in-ring work is still catching up. But this is somebody that these matches that we're seeing, no development, no indie scene or anything like that. This is like her reps. So let's imagine when she gets to match 150, 200, 250, about how good she'll get. And this whole time she's been on national television, live TV this whole time. So it's only going to get better.
My only gripe, you know, and I agree with you. I don't really have a problem with I guess my only question is, and maybe somebody can make more sense of it to me, is why is her championship and her division and like literally a different universe from the entire women's division? Like complete, like not even they don't even mention each other. it's like DC and Marvel over here. Like, and so when I see primarily the main sister, you know, with this belt and just completely separated, where it's just like she doesn't even mention any of these other wrestlers, and these other wrestlers never mention her. I'm just kind of like, why does it just feel like, you know, TBS just means the black segment or something real quick, or you know, like, why? I'm just wondering why it's completely just seems separate, where there's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But isn't it like, you know, and I know we just had the drafts, but isn't it like when people are on Raw or SmackDown, they don't necessarily mention the other brand. Like, you know, it's there, but they don't really do that, you know, often. So, I mean, I think I agree with you. We are watching her do her reps, which is pretty hard to do. Like, you're literally learning in front of thousands or, you know, millions, etc. So definitely have to give her respect for that, because that's a lot. That's a lot to carry. However, it's just kind of like the way she looks is great, but we also have other women in the locker room that look just as great too, that you can push forward. So you know, it's kind of,
I mean, I'm a Jade fan. Like, I'm a fan of Jade, like, especially promo wise. Like, I'm a fan. I just, you know, from the whole story with the baddies, I was really liking where things were going, you know, with it. I just felt like it was restricted because it's completely separate from everything. And that's where I started getting frustrated. Like, why? It's like, you got this really cool faction developing over here, and it's like, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like they were just bringing in rappers and, you know, every once in a while and whatever, but it just wasn't like, you know, just expanding a little more, at least bringing more people to have a storyline rather than just someone to, you know, just be squashed and everything. I think they really can. There's just so much more potential of what they can be doing, you know, with her, and it does. It's not all on the in-ring skill or anything. Like, I ain't even tripping about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I think her character arc is the way it is, and I would love to see like her like engagement, like metrics, analytics, and stuff like that. Because I think she's a conversation starter. I think she creates the topic of conversation, good and bad. People debate, and I see her battling trolls online every day. I think that's why she's presented the way she is, and it's so separate from the other title, because it's going to create the right engagement and talking points outside of actual television.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I think that Jade is just doing her job, and it's working, which is why they're going to continue this undefeated storyline until it makes sense for her to drop it, or until somebody bigger than her name comes in and it makes sense for her to drop it.
Hey, you helped it make more sense, and that's why I asked, because I was like, hey, help it make a little more sense to me, because this is the way I'm seeing it. Okay, help me. Yeah, that makes sense.
And at that point, I don't know if there's a bigger star that comes in. The only name that you can throw out there that's like bigger is the person that's going to be a resurgence in Long Beach on Sunday. And like, I don't know if Mercedes will fully cross the street like that.
I don't think she wants to.
Yeah, I don't think she wants to either.
I feel like even while she was with WWE, she traveled overseas, and I feel like both her and Trinity genuinely look happy.
Yeah.
Like they exude happiness, which is, you know, like night and day. So I feel like
why go back to something that was hurting and frustrating, stressing you, like, and then that wasn't the first time Sasha had to, you know, that backed out for like how it was affecting her mentally. Like, that wasn't the first time. So it's just like, I mean, just even the way she was done with her, I still, you know, fume about the way her title run was done. You know, it was just like, just every week dropping it back to Charlotte and then back to like, that was I'm not gonna get into that can of worms, but I mean, it's just like she was just constantly being, shortchanged and underestimated in a lot of ways, and I'm just happy to see her happy.
That part.
That's it.
Well, I am just happy that it's Friday.
Me too.
I think I actually have like a week, like kind of a week. Actually, no, I think I have a weekend. I think the only thing I really need to do is New Japan Pro on Sunday, which is, for you guys who know me and know my schedule, like I'm looking forward to like just doing life. So with that being said, we're gonna start our weekend. So Booney, where can everybody find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Booney Mayfield. You can also find me on YouTube at Booney Mayfield. Check me out.
And Cedric, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on the Bird app. That's says CEDD_SAYS, or on the gram at Said is the Answer. I write articles too. Check me out on Daily DDT. I try to post articles as often as I can. I'll be at New Japan Pro Wrestling Resurgence in Long Beach on Sunday. If you see me, feel free to say hi.
Are you doing with Afro or sans Afro?
I have no idea. I think, no, it won't be the Afro. It won't be. It'll be something else. Or maybe I'll throw a hat on. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to force my head in a hat.
There it is. We do have some, check out SmackDown after show tonight. And we do have a post show for Resurgence. All the things, lots of shows. You can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. And when I say lots of shows, we have lots of shows. So check it all out. Hey peeps, TK Trinidad here, boss lady of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I want to say thank you so much for watching, because you've got millions of options. Plus, you don't have to worry about sharing your password to check us out. But while you're here, hopefully you know we have so many more shows to watch, like Turnbuckle Glam, Raw post show, WoW post show, AEW Dynamite post show, Women's Wrestling Army post show, NXT post show, Impact Wrestling post show, AEW Rampage and SmackDown Live post show, On the Scroll, ROH post show, WWT Live, plus all of our interviews with the hottest women's wrestlers in the game. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com and follow us on all social media platforms at www.talkpod, and make sure to spread the word. That means send this to the group chat. Yes, even the person with the green bubble. Thanks again so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.